लास्ट टाइम उज्जवल और नौशीन का हुआ था, इजंट इट?
यस मैम।
किसका रह गया था?
मैम फ़हीम का।
फ़हीम का क्या टॉपिक था?
हैप्लानोस्पोर।
Haplosyphon. Okay. Fahim, is he there or not? Is Fahim present or not?
No, ma'am.
बेटा आई एम मार्किंग साइड बाय साइड, जैसे जैसे आप लोग परफॉर्म कर रहे हो उसी हिसाब से आपके मार्क्स भी मिल रहे हैं। आप स्किप करोगे यू लूज योर मार्क्स। मेरा कुछ नहीं जा रहा है। एंड क्या नाम था इनका? अजहर ने प्रेजेंट किया था लास्ट टाइम, और अजहर का जो है मैंने बोला भी था कि इफ ही वांट्स ही कैन रिपीट, बट ही सेड ही इज फाइन विद इट। एंड अजहर, you secured the lowest marks till now, so if you want you can improve it. if Fahim is not there, ठीक है, दूसरा ग्रुप शुरू करते हैं। यनीशा।
यस मैम।
Okay, Yanisha, can you people see it on the screen now? Okay, Yanisha, it starts explaining.
Good morning ma'am. My topic is nitrogen fixation. So introduction. Nitrogen is essential for all living things because it is major component of amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins and of nucleic acids such as DNA. Without proteins, plants wither and die. Healthy plants often contain 3 to 4% of nitrogen in their above ground tissues. Nitrogen is so vital because it is major component of chlorophyll, the compound by which plants use sunlight energy to produce sugars from water and carbon dioxide. The atmosphere has nitrogen as the most abundant gas. However, it is not available to plants in the form in which it can be used. This is because the gaseous state of nitrogen cannot be directly used by them. For them to use nitrogen, it needs to be made available in the different form. Hence, transformation using nitrogen fixation process is necessary for its usage. Nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation is the process by which nitrogen is taken from its molecular form, nitrogen gas, in the atmosphere and converted into nitrogen compounds useful for other biochemical processes. Fixation can occur through atmospheric, industrial, or biological process. Biological nitrogen fixation can be represented by the following reaction, in which the enzyme catalyzes reduction of nitrogen gas to ammonia, ammonium, or organic nitrogen occurs. Nitrogen gas plus 16 ATP plus 8 electron plus 8 proton gives 2 ammonia plus 16 ADP plus 16 inorganic phosphorus plus hydrogen gas. This process is performed by a variety of prokaryotes, both symbiotic and free-living, using an enzyme complex termed as nitrogenase.
यनीशा,
यस मैम।
हो गया आपका? आगे
यस मैम। मैम आगे Hmm.
Any query to anyone? What is nitrogen fixation? What is the importance of nitrogen in, for plants? How they utilize it? Okay, the next student.
Now my topic is role and importance of nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixing bacteria supplies plants with vital nutrient that they can't obtain from the air themselves. Nitrogen fixing microorganisms do what crop can't get assimilated nitrogen for them. Bacteria take it from the air as a gas and release it to the soil, primarily as ammonia. It is the only suitable option for plant because they can consume nitrogen only from the soil only as the nitrogenous inorganic compound, which explain the importance of nitrogen fixation. Plants can utilize nitrogen to synthesize essential biomolecules such as nucleotides and amino acids. Nitrogen fixing plants provide sugar to the bacteria and bacteria provide nitrogen to the plants. This relationship gives this plant an extra advantage to adapt to adverse condition. Nitrogen fixation increase the nitrogen content of the soil without fertilizers. This is a completely natural process that nature has designed for the well-being of the whole ecosystem and the soil food web. Importance of nitrogen fixation. Biological nitrogen fixation is the important process for agricultural productivity in many cropping system because the direct input of atmospheric nitrogen and rotational effects such as disease control. Advances in molecular biology technique provides new opportunity to understand the ecology of root nodule bacteria and may improve the selection of elite strains for the inoculation. As understanding of genetic basis of nodulation in grain and pasture legume may improve inoculation technologies.
Okay, any query to anyone? You people are just reading your assignments. किसी को कुछ पूछना है because I have a query. Anyone, any question? Vantasha, I want to know, you have written over here that biological nitrogen fixation, it has certain effects on disease control. So can you explain how do it affects the disease in plants? Did you get the question what I asked, Mantasha? Am I audible to you people or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
मंतशा आप ही ने प्रेजेंट किया है ना अभी?
Yes, ma'am.
तो आपसे मेरी क्वेरी है कि कैसे ये नाइट्रोजन फिक्सेशन, आपने एक जगह स्टेटमेंट दिया है कि नाइट्रोजन फिक्सेशन इट अफेक्ट्स it helps in controlling the plant diseases. So how does nitrogen fixation helps in controlling the plant diseases? बताइए. When you are writing it, then you should explain it ना, कैसे होता है, क्या होता है. Anyone else would like to explain it? जी आयशा.
Ma'am, nine.
Aisha, your voice is not clear.
Yes, ma'am, sir.
नाइट्रोजन जो है एक बहुत एसेंशियल कंपोनेंट है प्लांट्स के लिए। ये इसका मेजर कंपोनेंट होता है एमिनो एसिड, और जो कि प्लांट में प्रोटीन्स की जो ज़रूरत है ये उसको मतलब उसके थ्रू ये बनता है प्रोटीन, जैसे कि डीएनए। और फिर मैम जो अदर प्लांट प्रोटीन्स होती हैं उसके लिए उसमें ज़रूरत है, प्लांट की ग्रोथ अच्छी होती है, प्लांट की हेल्थ अच्छी होती है। और इस ये मतलब इसके फॉर्म्स होते हैं मैम, फ्री लिविंग नाइट्रोजन भी होते हैं इसमें। फ्री लिविंग में आई एम अनेबल टू रिकॉग्नाइज। फ्री लिविंग में मैम लाइक एरोबिक नाइट्रोजन होते हैं, एनएरोबिक होते हैं, और ब्लू ग्रीन एल्गी और फंजाई होते हैं। ये मैम इसका फिक्सेशन का काम बेसिकली ये है कि एटमॉस्फेयर से कैसे नाइट्रोजन लेता है, और वो प्रोसेस करके प्लांट उसको कैसे अपने अंदर यूटिलाइज करता है। क्योंकि मैम दो तरह से होता है, कुछ नाइट्रोजन ऐसे होते हैं रूट्स में मोल्ड हो जाते हैं, और फ्री लिविंग मोल्ड नहीं होते हैं, वो सॉइल में मेनली रहते हैं। मैम ये प्लांट को ग्रोथ, क्लोरोफिल और ये सब देता है। और ये नाइट्रोजन वहाँ पे ज़्यादा मतलब जहाँ पे ऑक्सीजन नहीं होता वहाँ पे।
Okay, as Aisha told us that the nitrogen, it helps. It is a component of many of the amino acids, and also the chlorophyll and other flavonoids and phenolic compounds and other salicylic acids that are present in plants, and these helps in the plants in gaining the defense mechanism. प्लांट के डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म को स्ट्रेंथन करते हैं, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ विच नाइट्रोजन इज एन एसेंशियल कंपोनेंट। और जब नाइट्रोजन जो है, द प्लांट्स दे हैव सफिशिएंट नाइट्रोजन, सो दे इन टर्न दे हैव sufficient systemic resistance against the diseases, and thus nitrogen, it is an important component that helps in providing the resistance in plants against many diseases, or it helps in managing the plant diseases. Okay, now the next candidate.
Good morning, ma'am. My topic is free living nitrogen fixation. Soil contain a number of free living nitrogen fixation organisms. These include aerobic and anaerobic bacteria and blue-green algae. Biological nitrogen fixation by microorganism living freely is called non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Asymbiotic nitrogen fixers can be classified as follows. Free living aerobic nitrogen fixation bacteria. Number 1, photosynthetic. Example, chlorobium, chloromatium. And non-photosynthetic. Example, azobacter, Bajanikia, azomonas. In free living anaerobic nitrogen fixation bacteria, photosynthetic bacteria are Rhodospirillum and
Is the spelling correct?
Bajanikia की.
जी.
Yes, ma'am.
और ये एजोबैक्टर होता है या एजोटोबैक्टर होता है?
मैम एजोबैक्टर होता है मैम.
एजोबैक्टर.
यस मैम.
कंफर्म करिएगा बेटा स्पेलिंग्स.
यस मैम.
ओके, कंटिन्यू.
In free living chemosynthetic bacteria, heterotrophic desulfobiro. In cyanobacteria or blue-green algae, heterosis-bearing nostoc, anabina, and calothrix. Non-heterosis-bearing oscillatoria, Gliocepsa limbia. In free living yeast and Polonoria. Free living nitrogen fixers are quite primitive. The fixation is a reductive process independent of respiration. These organisms fix nitrogen more actively under poor aeration, provide no hydrogen gas is being produced. Free living nitrogen fixation is also of interest in crop production as an alternative to chemical fertilizer, potentially reducing production cost and ameliorating negative environmental effects of fertilizers and additions.
You have given the examples. How does the nitrogen fixation occurs? Free living nitrogen fixation occurs. What are the different types? You haven't
Yes, ma'am.
explained the types.
मैम मेरा मैम मैम मेरा जो टॉपिक था उसमें फ्री लिविंग नाइट्रोजन फिक्सेशन टॉपिक था मेरा।
What do you mean by reductive processes? You have highlighted this term. आपने इसको highlight किया है. You written it with red ink. So what do you mean by reductive process?
मैम इसमें मैम नाइट्रोजन फिक्सेशन जो होता है मैम वो एनारोबिक कंडीशन में होता है मैम।
Any question to any of the student? Okay, the next student. Who will explain how does free living bacteria works?
मैम ये हमारा टॉपिक था, आप बताएं इसको।
बेटा जब मैं बोल रही हूँ कि who will explain the next topic तो आपको बोलना ही है. Start explaining.
ऊपर हो चुका था इसलिए हम लोग। मैम फ्री लिविंग बैक्टीरिया प्लांट में प्रोटीन बनाता है और इस प्लांट में एक एंजाइम होता है।
Try to speak in English.
Ma'am, free living bacteria produce proteins in plants, and there is another enzyme which is responsible for nitrogen reduction, known as nitrogenase, or that is found in specialized cells and microbial colony environments. There is lack of oxygen, or can say there is no oxygen, and oxygen is responsible to destroy this enzyme via process of oxidation process. An important bacteria that has the ability to produce nitrogen is cyanobacteria. It is beneficial in soil that are free living bacteria, and cyanobacteria do not form nodules in plants because it is present in soil and it works in soil. Nostoc consume one type of cyanobacteria that take nitrogen from atmosphere, and then soil then transform that nitrogen into the form that plant can use in to make it beneficial for plant, to enhance its growth, or uh, to enhance its growth and productivity, can say. हर तरह से प्लांट की प्रोडक्टिविटी in many ways we can use that bacteria. These cyanobacteria grow in chains. On some chain, microscopic cells are also found that are known as heterocytes. In heterocytes, heterocytes is an oxygen-free zone.
Coming to symbiotic nitrogen fixation, the next speaker.
Good morning, ma'am. My topic is symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Symbiotic relation in which both partners benefit is called mutualism, and symbiotic nitrogen fixation is a part of mutualistic relationship in which plant provide a position and the fixed carbon to the bacteria in exchange for the fixed nitrogen. Such an association between the bacteria and the host is ecological, long-term, and mutually benefited to both. Microbial partners fixes atmospheric nitrogen. Symbiotic nitrogen fixation occur in the plants which harbor nitrogen-fixing bacteria within their tissues. The various examples of symbiotic nitrogen fixation are grouped into the three categories. The first one is nitrogen fixation through nodule formation in leguminous plant. Symbiotic nitrogen fixers in the large number of the legume plant include genus Rhizobium, mainly Rhizobium japonicum is slow-growing symbiotant of soybean. Rhizobium colinodens is a stem nodule-forming symbiotant in sesame species. Nitrogen fixation through nodule formation in non-leguminous plant. Genus Frankia forms root nodule in association with Alnus species Caustoria equisetifolia, Myrica gale, etc. Rhizobium also root nodule in genus Parasponia. And the last one is nitrogen fixation through non-nodulation. Lichens is an association between fungi and algae. Anthroceras, a bryophyte associated with nostoc. Azolla, a bryophyte in association with Anamina.
The mechanism, we will explain the mechanism of symbiotic nitrogen fixation.
Mechanism of symbiotic nitrogen fixation. What is root nodule? Root nodules are the swelling found on the root of plants, primarily nodules that form a symbiosis with nitrogen-fixing bacteria, Rhizobium. Now how it's work, like its mechanism. Root hair cells secrete chemical signals, flavonoids, which attracts rhizobia towards the root. Rhizobia assembles around root hairs. Then they secrete node factor or nodulation factors which cause curling of the root hairs around them. Node factor stimulates many development changes, example membrane depolarization, curling of root hairs, cell division in root cortex, and intracellular calcium movement. The node factor attaches to receptor present on the plasma membrane of root hairs, which leads to the formation of the infection thread by invagination of root hair cell membrane. Infection thread provides the passage to bacteria to enter the epidermal cell. Rhizobia can also enter through cracks in the root cells. Dedifferentiation of cells of pericycle occur to produce a mass of undifferentiated tissue called nodule primordia. Infection of bacteria in nodule primordia cells. Division in the nodule primordia cells to form a nodule as an outgrowth. Rhizobium present in nodule cell transform into branched, swollen, non-flagellated, non-dividing structure called bacteroids. Bacteroids produce enzyme nitrogenase and pigment leg hemoglobin to perform nitrogen fixation.
So can you see it in the diagrams? It is clearly given how the rhizobia, they attracts, they release the chemicals, and the roots, they release the chemicals because of which the rhizobia, they move towards the roots. Then there occurs coiling, nodule factor is there, and nodulation occurs because of curling of root hairs, and then infection thread is there, and then bacteroids are formed, and these bacteroids, they helps in nitrogen fixation. Okay, if you have any query, you people may ask. निशात आलिया ने एक्सप्लेन किया है ये. किसी को कुछ पूछना है?
यस मैम वो एजोटोबैक्टर है मैम.
वो एजोटोबैक्टर है.
यस मैम.
और दूसरी स्पेलिंग आपने चेक की?
यस मैम.
उसमें भी करेक्शन है, isn't it?
यस मैम.
दिस इज एजोटोबैक्टर, और बीजेरिंकिया की भी स्पेलिंग आपने गलत लिखी है.
यस मैम. बीई.
एजोस्पाइरलम, नबीला ने इसको प्रेजेंट किया था, isn't it? Is she present?
मैम मनीजा खान. अच्छा.
नहीं, एजोस्पाइरलम जो है वो नबीला ने
Yes, ma'am. Asylum was presented by me.
So you have there are certain things that I have added, although you have written correct, but you have written that azospirillum promotes plant growth through a variety of mechanisms. Many azospirillum species they excrete plant hormones that alter how the roots of plants grow. Affected roots frequently grow more branches and are fine root hairs, and that helps the plants acquire water and nutrients in a more efficient manner. Okay. Then you have also written that they induce systemic resistance. Now, I have added how they induce systemic resistance. They increase the levels of phytohormones such as jasmonic acids and ethylene pathways modified, and accordingly salicylic acids are also increased in the plants, and thus the plants they become more tolerant to biotic stresses. And they promote plant growth by mechanisms of tolerance against these stresses, and they also mediate antioxidant production. Osmotic adjustments occurs in plant. Then phytohormones like gibberellic acids, indole acids they are produced, and these influences the expressions of pathogenesis related genes in plants, and thus this in turn influences the plant growth, promotes the plant growth and its yield. So I think this will be quite elaborated for you. So I would suggest कि जो नबीला ने एजोस्पाइरलम की पीडीएफ अपलोड की है, यू पीपल गो थ्रू दैट, दैट इज मोर देन इनफ फॉर यू ऑल. एंड इफ यू वांट आई कैन अपलोड माय नोट्स आल्सो, बट उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा है, people won't be able to learn that much. What are the carbon sources required by azospirillum species, then the flagellation. She has also mentioned that there is one flagella to multiple flagella in case of azospirillum. And then how this one flagella it changes to additional lateral flagella. So that will be quite elaborated form for you. इन्होंने नबीला ने जो दिया है दैट इज सफिशिएंट फॉर यू ऑल. ओके, आप कहें तो मैं अपनी पीडीएफ भी अपलोड कर देती हूँ. Do you people want my PDFs also? It is say yes or no.
मैम जो नबीला ने दिया है मैम कहाँ पर है, गूगल क्लासरूम पर या फिर व्हाट्सएप पर?
नबीला ने व्हाट्सएप पे शेयर किया था शायद.
मैम मैंने
अगर
आपको शेयर किया था इनबॉक्स
अच्छा
में.
आपने मुझे सेंड किया था, ठीक है, तो मैं फिर उसको क्लासरूम पे अपलोड कर दूंगी.
ओके मैम.
ओके,
यस मैम.
चलो ठीक है. देन गिव मी योर अटेंडेंस. क्रोनी सिंह.
यस मैम.
410. Crony is there. Then Nausheen.
Present, ma'am.
Tanisha.
Present, ma'am.
Sanobar. Nazib. Zainab. Mahi.
Present.
Zainab present. Yes, Zainab is there. Then Mudassir. Varsha.
Present, ma'am.
Mantasha. She is there.
Yes, ma'am.
Suzanne. Namra. Then Maniza. She is
Yes,
there.
ma'am.
Kanchan. Nabila.
Present, ma'am.
Asif.
यस मैम.
Mama. Ashi. Azhar. Zainab Fatima.
Present, ma'am.
Fahim. Roman. Yasir. Yasir. Ujjwal, you are present.
मैम रोमान
Roman present. Then Yasir. Nabia. Aisha. Asad.
Present, ma'am.
Akram.
Yes, ma'am. Present, Akram.
Shivani, she is there. Then Ahmed, he is also there. Afifa.
Ma'am.
Sahiba. Dilkash. Fariha Rizvi. Fariha is there. Mazhar. Nishat.
Present, ma'am.
Laiba and Naina.
Yes, ma'am, Naina.
Okay, then thank you all of you. And one thing more, don't take your assignments for granted. Okay, thank you all of you. Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
प्यास लगने लगी इमामुद्दीन हाँ हाँ फोन क्या करना है फोन नंबर दूं